Okay, so being on this planet and being in this dimension, which um, can seem kind of boring and monotonous sometimes and restricting, and but it's really not. Like, if you understood it, you would realize its beauty and its non-monotonicity. Our societies are monotonous. The way we have decided to live our lives are monotonous and boring. But being in this planet and being in this reality is not, in this dimension, is not in itself boring, not in itself monotonous. It doesn't just, understand, yeah, you like wake up, you die, you wake up, you die, you go from day to day. But there's so much that happens in between all that actually makes the story so beautiful. And yeah, you go through constant struggles or happiness is good, but you don't always have to. You go through constant struggles and happiness because something is conflicting with what is truly you and what is truly harmonious with the world. And I know we're never gonna, we might not ever get to a point to where our societies are harmonious with the universe, but I think we might. I think we will, honestly. Will we really? I don't know, but I think we will. Like, I hope we will. But as of right now, all you can do is find a way to be active in being true to the universe and living in this society, because it's possible. People are doing it all over the world. It's really possible. You just have to be active and vigilant about your practice, about being intent on how you look at the world, how you view the world, because if you see it as boring and monotonous and restricting, then that's what it is, because you're creating it to be as such. Your words and your thoughts are more powerful than you think. They help create this world, because every individual's consciousness is what creates everything around you. It creates what you're allowed to see, experience, because we've all decided that this is what is possible. And when you think something, you're putting it into existence and allowing it to become possible. So if that's what you see, that's because that's what's inside of you, because what's inside of you is what's outside of you. You are everything. That's why I say, once you like practice and once you're deliberate about practice and you realize that you are everything and that nothing's actually separate, even though we see it as such, nothing's actually separate, you'll realize that there's joy in everything, there's fun in everything. It's even if someone does you wrong, it's not necessarily like, okay, yeah, you did me wrong, but you can be like, oh, it's okay, or I understand, or whatever. You don't always have to see everything so negative. Like I said, taking all that, what we would deem as unpositive emotions and thoughts, and just making them in your favor. Because you can do that. You have the power to do that. You have the power on your own to create, to make this not boring and monotonous. You can do what you want. You just have to find a way to do it. And you have to be willing to do what it takes to do it. Because change doesn't happen fast, nor does it happen easy. There's always sacrifice, there's always something that's so it's like, not necessarily lost, but something that goes away and something that changes. So it's like, what you put out there is what you're going to see, obviously, because you're putting it out there, you're creating it, and so it's like, you have every reason to live, because do you really understand life yet? Can you honestly say that you understand everything about life? Because if you can, then I say you have no reason to live. There is no reason to live, because you understand it. Yeah, go right ahead. I mean, as soon as I understand it all, I'm going to be like, okay, it's time for me to go. I'm done. Because what other point is there about to experience this? That's why I'm here. You're trying to understand it. And so that's the reason to live, is life itself, is the fact that you're alive so that you can realize it. And yeah, it's like, you know, we're just alone, and no one needs each other, or you can think that way because yeah, ultimately it's only you, because we're all one. But for you to realize that, you need other people. You need to be able to see that, oh, hey, look, okay, we really are all one. Like, even though I see that you look a little different, oh, okay, I understand, you're really not that different. We're really the same, we're really one. You're just another expression of who I am, and I'm just another expression of who you are. We're all expressions of each other, Once you get that in your head, you realize that life becomes a lot different than what we see it as now, or some people, how we generally, as a society, view life, But that's changing, which is really cool, So it's like we all need each other because without the people who are doing serious, like that's their everyday spiritual work, there wouldn't be people who don't do the waking up. People who are starting to come to the realization, oh wow, okay, hey, I need to like wake up and do this. I need to figure it out. It's more than just about this physical world. It's more than just about, what I'm doing on my day to day. But even that, what you do in your day to day creates what the more that it's about. So it's really interesting though. Even though it works in a cyclic or in a cycle, even though it works in that fashion, there's so many possibilities within that cycle. There's so much to know, so much to experience that it's endless and boundless. And that's the beauty of it. And I mean, if that's not a reason to live, then dang, I wouldn't know what is. It's just, and for some people, the reason to live is like, their family and that, you don't, oh, I want to be happy if I don't live anymore. No, I don't necessarily believe that, because if that's all you're worried about, then you're not truly living, in my opinion. You're not truly alive because you're not truly in tune. You're not really worried about the other part of you. You're just worried about this physical part of you. There's a whole other part of you that you should incorporate with this physical part to give you the true, just the most blissful life you could have, And then you realize, oh, it's okay when family passes. It's not a big deal because they're not being destroyed. They're just going on to something different. And so I don't know, it's interesting. Um, if you're wasting your existence as a soul and as a consciousness, it's just because you haven't figured out how you're supposed to be existing. I mean, it's just like you just have to do more searching, that's why you have the 100 years. That's the beauty of it. And wow, I'd rather not have, I'd rather just be eternal. Well, if you're eternal, you don't know you're eternal. Not always. Unless you're in some sort of form to where you can where you are somewhat separated from yourself, you won't know that you're yourself. That's the point. Like, that's the beauty. It's like you get a chance to be in this physical existence, but not all things are in this existence. Not all things can understand, and that's the beauty. It's like once you're outside of this type of existence, you don't get to learn like this. So it's not like you'll be thinking like you think. That's not how it works. Or it might not be how it worked. That doesn't seem to be how it works. Because if it was how it seems to reason that if it was how it works, we would be more in contact with other things, which we are. But even they're still kind of on a level also like us. They're not necessarily source. They haven't figured it all out yet either. They just have figured more of it out than us. And even they can't experience exactly what we're experiencing, because the only way to experience this type of existence is to be here. Now, some of us have figured out how to be in multiple places at once and still be able to realize that you're in each individual place. But even that takes time to learn. That takes time to realize. And that time is why you have the 100 years. But if you realize that, I mean, there was a point in time that not everyone lived only 100 years. People live longer than 100 years. Things live long. Other things around us don't just live. So that 100 years has dwindled, but that's enough time for you to figure a lot of things out, especially in this type of existence. And you have to be appreciative of that. And once you understand that that's not a limitation, then you can be at the point of stage where you can move on. You can't move on if you don't appreciate where you're at. If you don't understand where you're at, then how are you worthy enough to move on? And it's not even about, and I don't say worthy as in like God or what, no, worthy meaning spiritually pure, vibrationally pure enough to move on. If you're not purely okay with being in this, if you haven't finally just locked in with being where you are, how can you move away? And that takes time. And some people, they get it instant, some people don't, but it's just because it's all about what are you realizing? How hard are you trying to realize what you already know? So, and that's something that's an interesting thing that we do and that we can see, and so and then you start talking about the flies. So it's like, what's a fly's purpose? It doesn't have a very long life. It just is born and then really quickly it dies. How can it understand reality like something that's higher? Well, honestly, if to think about this though, a fly's days go by so much faster than ours. A fly lives at such a faster rate than us. Of course it dies soon. If we lived at that rate, we would die soon. Because a fly is still subjugated. A fly consciousness, whatever level of consciousness a fly has, which you cannot say at all, because there is no possible way to experience that type of consciousness. You're not a fly. You haven't physically manifested in such a way to experience fly consciousness. It can't happen. So you can't say whether a fly has higher level thoughts. You can say it is most likely that a fly does not have higher level thinking or higher level thoughts. But that's only comparing what we consider higher level thoughts to our own type of thoughts, not necessarily what higher level thoughts might truly be. So in that aspect, no, I can't really answer that. I can't really say whether or not a fly has an understanding as a higher being would. I don't really think so, because we don't really have an understanding as a higher being, and we would consider ourselves a higher being compared to the fly. So think about that. Really think about that, because people forget everything has consciousness. Even rocks. Rocks have consciousness. Plants, soil, molecules have consciousness. So would you say that a fish has higher being type consciousness compared to a molecule? Or would you say the molecule has a higher level of consciousness than the fish? So if you think about that, it's something we can't really say, but at the same time, yes, a fly, it lives so much faster than us, and so it realizes so much more about fly type consciousness than we do. So it doesn't need 100 years to realize all there is about fly life, because fly life is only a few days long, because their bodies they give out really fast. And if you're someone who believes in the continuity of souls, the continuity of consciousness, then it would make sense that flies replicate in the way that they do, they reproduce in the numbers that they do because their lives are so short that for their collective conscious to actually, learn a vast amount of information, it needs a lot of things to experience itself, because it doesn't get to do it for very long in that form. So in that form, it needs a lot of things at once to be born, so it can just experience a lot at once through each little thing, because each little thing is only going to give it a very small amount of information. And so in that aspect, then you can say, yeah, we're just like the fly, because humans we haven't just been here for the 100 years. For the few years, whatever the oldest person alive today is, we haven't just been here for that long. So obviously our consciousness needs longer than the 100 years that we will typically live to experience, to understand everything there is to understand. So is this life really that boring, that monotonous, that up and down, up and down, up and down, static that we think it is? Because obviously we haven't learned all there is to learn from here. And we've been here for thousands of years, and there's still more of us coming back. So think about that. Like I say, is it because life is boring? Or is it because you don't understand life that life is boring? And not saying that I understand life, because I don't. No one understands all of life, but I think I'm understanding more of life for me, what life is to me. So in that aspect, yes, I am understanding more about life. The hard part is just not, it's just like you have to incorporate that to how you live your active life, your understanding and your actions, and that's all the story. But, so yeah, like just think, it's really, there's a lot that interconnects, there's a lot that once you understand something, you can see something else, and you can see how it's not really that bad, how, yeah, this might be like a limited type of existence, but that limitation is obviously there for a reason. Like so like the way I think about it, the way I kind of think is like this. Earth is a very special place. Like this type of existence is super special. It's like a game. It's like, although we could experience everything at once and have every understanding at once, we don't. We choose to come down here, be born in a world of limitations, and struggle and work through and come out victorious. And through that struggle, and through that hard work, and through those limitations we put on ourselves, we come out kings. We come out with ultimate knowledge. We come out with really understanding we are the one. Because there are those of us who realized it, that we are one with everything, in eternity, in God, in Source. We are one. It's within us. It's it. It's the ultimate pride. And these limitations that we put on ourselves, this world that we have to exist in, produces the ability to help you with that understanding. It's amazing. And if you believe in a soul, which as you seem to believe in a soul, and so because there are people who don't, well, if you believe in a soul or consciousness that is conscious of itself, there are other consciousness out there that see us as math, because not all levels of, not all types of existence put itself through these kind of limitations, which is why we all feel like they're limitations, because we know that this is not it. So it's like we are the champions. Like people who put themselves through these limitations come out victorious. Things put themselves in this limitation come out victorious, because you get to master those limitations. You get to learn how to live and live through and without and everything that is about everything of physical existence and non-physical existence at the same time. It's the beauty about being here. It's amazing. And so it's like, this is not a temporary reality, or you wouldn't be here, because this is so long in time, so early in time. was so far in time that if it was temporal, it would be gone by now. You would think, you would assume. But even if it's not, even if it is temporal, this temporal is a lot long. The sense in temporal is not what you're. It's not in reality sense of time. You wouldn't. The existence of the Earth is a long time to anyone. You could say that's a long freaking time. The existence of our universe, you could say, is a long time. But reality existed even before that. Reality has always existed. Always. And so it's just this reality, this type of reality has always existed also, because reality itself has always existed. We have a reality in the sense has just recently manifested in this physical form. But is that really even recently? Because that's always been going on, because time has always happened, everything has already happened and will happen. So it's just like really interesting. Really, and that goes back to me, it's like how much time, it's like it's really about spending the time to understand these things, because it's at least a lot of it is understandable. You just have to actively search and spend the time to understand it, And so that's the lesson. I mean, I hope I answered all your questions. And I know there's some other things that I can go into a lot more depth in, and I will probably, honestly, if you don't mind, I'm probably gonna use this. I'll probably take some things out of here and expand on them if you want. To look at those videos later on. I'll post those up later. But I hope this helps anyone who needs it, and if I'm not saying something in a way you can understand, I hope you use this to just go look up ideas, I guess, and not even necessarily take what I'm saying word for word, or but just use it as I like to just say, use anything I say as a means of thought provocation, as a means of just getting your mind going and getting you to start thinking about these things. Because once you start thinking about them, you will look them up. Because we're curious beings. I mean, most of us are curious about where we come from. Some of us don't care. Some people don't give any cares. But that's okay. But most people, if given enough information, would say, oh, okay, I'm just gonna search this out. So I say, just use that. Just take anything I say, and if it sounds cool, then we go look it up. Go find someone else who's talking about the same thing, because they might have something different to say, which is totally cool. Because everyone has different understandings, and those different understandings are necessary for all of us to understand everything. Once we really get back to the fact that we're all. So I guess I hope this helps, and I look forward to making another video.